You've been doing business news for 15 years, so I'm sure you've been paying close attention to the market. What are you seeing in terms of trends, and what is the future looking like, in your opinion, in Canada?
That's a loaded question.
It is. That's
So
why I'm asking.
As a business reporter, I always say, I don't give financial advice. I can tell
Yeah.
you what has happened, and the past is not a predictor of future performance, of
Yeah.
course. I will say something that I have noticed on the news side, and I think it is reflected, in markets, and certainly from the investor side that I've been hearing. The news cycles have sped up.
Yeah.
So I think this is a phenomenon we all felt since probably 2020, most acutely. It's been one kind of big thing after another.
Yes.
And it's become normalized. And I do remember a time when the pace of life was different. It was
Yes.
slower. There were big events, but not kind of mushed together one after the other in a string.
Yeah.
We've come to, live in this new normal. But I do want people to take some time as well to recognize this is not normal. You need to take breaks, and there is the real risk of kind of burnout, fatigue, overstimulation that didn't exist before. And I see this every day, and I think it reflects in how people react to each other, connect or don't want to connect, and I think it is part of the piece as to why there's so much polarization in the world.
Yeah. So here at NACO, we've been talking about, of course, founders, entrepreneurs, investors of all types, but also women in the industry. And obviously, like, the statistics are they're not great, and we want to see women propel even more. What's been your experience as a woman? Because you've been doing it for 15 years. So I'm curious to know about your successes, your challenges, your experience, just the all-encompassing story of a woman in this industry. And I mean, we can relate. We're both in TV.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
TV looked and felt quite different. You go back 20 years.
Yep.
And even when I was growing up and, kind of figuring out that question of what do I want to be when I grow up, I think that there is a real element, and this is not new, you have to see it to be able to aspire to it. So it was it is comforting for me to see women being more represented, and a diversity of women.
Yes.
Women who look like you, who look like me, that I did not grow up with.
Yeah.
My kids, who are 8 and 10, are growing up in a whole different world. The other thing I will say is, yes, the needle is moving. It was a very low base when it comes to women's participation, certainly at the decision-making level. We've always had women at the lower echelons.
Yeah.
But it was, after you get past a certain point, there were less women in charge of the big decisions, in charge of where the money will be spent and how. I think that is shifting, and there is an understanding that we all do better when women are excelling and doing all the things that we have always done, but being valued and recognized. And there's less of a scarcity mindset too, I think, when it comes to women, helping women. There was a time, and I grew up in this, where there was a feeling of there's a table, and it is dominated by men who are pale male, and there are like a few seats for others.
Yes.
I think that those tables still exist, but there's less of a feeling of, the others have to compete for one seat at the table out of 10.
Yeah.
There's I hope, conversations about how we can make that table look differently and make that table more solid because of all the different points of views and things that people are bringing that maybe we didn't value or recognize enough in the past. Thank you.
Thank you.
This was delightful.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you. Thank you.
So lovely.